Hey guys, it's Editor Vanessa again from Samani Enterprise Tutors. I hope you enjoyed our last tutorials. We talked about increment operators, both increment and decrement operators, and I remember saying something about both the post and the pre-increment operator, and then the post and pre-decrement operator, where the increment operator increases a variable value by 1 and the decrement operator reduces a variable value by 1 also. And then I remember telling you that both the pre and the post do have their own, they are similar but yet different. And then we were not able to prove it in the last tutorial, and I told you that the next tutorial, which is this one, Happy You, we are going to be learning how they differentiate and how they work differently. But that we'll be using that, and then we'll be learning a concept called the if-else statement now. Now the if-else statement in Java is majorly what we call a conditional statement, meaning one condition must be met before a particular block of code can be can be run. And then when I mean a block of code, that means from one opening brace to another closing brace. Like for example, this is a block of code from here to here. All right, so without further ado, let's jump straight in. So we'll leave increment operators, we'll come here, src, right click, come to new, come to order if you're using Eclipse, and then Java class, click on next, and then we're going to call the name if else, right? If else statement. Wait for it to just build up. Okay, so now having that, we're going to have our public main. All right, just have it autocomplete for me. Okay, now let's say we have a variable number1 is equals to 5, right? Okay, so it works like this. The syntax is if open and close parentheses, then open and close brace, like this. So the syntax is here. We're going to have the condition, okay, the condition to be met here, and then if that condition is met, this block of code, let's say we had by substance or ingredient, make your hair, and so on. So if this condition is met, then you would have to buy substance or ingredient and also make your hair. Then for the else, we now have else, and then I also like to point out that there is no else statement without an if statement. So it's an if else. The else must always follow the if, but the if can always stand on its own. Okay, so if else, then we can now say stay at home all day, then watch some television. Okay, so if this condition is not met, then this block of code is not carried out. Then this one, from this opening brace to this closing brace, will then be carried out. So let's leave this comment here so that you can understand it, and then we'll jump. So the condition is if, like this. So in here, in this open and close parenthesis will be the condition. So if number1 is greater than 5, all right, so that's the condition. This particular condition now is if number1 is greater than 5, system.out.println, then remember that whatever you need to print must be in your open and close double quotes. Print number1 is the winner. All right, so let's see how that goes. Right click anywhere on your IDE GUI, then run it. As you can see, nothing is being displayed on the console. Why? because this condition is false, number 1 is equals to 5, not greater than 5. So let's try and make that condition true. If number 1 is greater than, let's say, 3, all right, if it's greater than 3, let's see what happens. Bam, number 1 is the winner. So number 1 actually is greater than 3, so therefore this block of code will be executed, and then when you go, the only thing it just does is to print out that number 1 is the winner. Okay, so remember this, our commenting, so the condition is met, so therefore you buy soup, things or ingredient, and then you make your hair. All right, so remember I told you that the if statement can stand alone, but the else statement cannot stand alone. So what of in a condition where number 3 is not greater, or number 1 is not greater than 3 now, I beg your pardon, so that's where the provision for the else statement comes in. Okay, so if this condition here inside this parenthesis is false, then this particular block of code is what carried out or executed. So I would copy this in order not to type it again. I would say number 1 is the loser. So if, let me change this so it will be false. If number 1 is greater than 6, which is false because number 1 is 5 and not greater than 6, right click, run as. Okay, so you see the result, number 1 is a loser, which is coming from here. So the conditionals, the if else works that if this condition, I come again, is true, this block of code will be carried out. Okay, but if this condition appears to be false, then the else statement is being made available so that this block of code can be carried out. All right, so I said that I was going to differentiate the pre and the post increment operators using the next tutorial. So let me attempt to do that. Okay, now remember I told you that the post increment operator would first, like this, would increment the value of the variable after the condition has been checked, while the pre-increment operator, like this, the pre-increment operator would increment the value of the variable and then the condition will be checked. All right, so let me explain better. All right, now number 1 now has a value of 5. So if I say if plus number 1 greater than 6, system out the print line, number 1 is the winner. So what this means is that increments the value in number 1 before you check if its value is greater than 6. I'll come again for emphasis. Increment the value of number 1 before checking if the value after the increment is greater than what? Than 6. All right, so now let's check, and then if you increment 5 by 1, it will give you 6. So 6 greater than 6 is false. That means we will have system.out print line, number 1 is the loser again on our console. So in order to run it, you see number 1 is the loser. All right, okay, so if we were to use the plus in front, what it would mean, it will still have to give us number 1 is the loser. Why? Because it will increment, so this will now be number 1 greater than 6, then outside of it, it will now increment the value of number 1. So we'll still have the same answer as number 1 is false, number 1 is the loser. Okay, so let me attempt to make that true, and then we can check the difference between the two. All right guys, so in order to make this, in order for us to see the difference, let me change the value of this to 5. Okay, now what this means is, if this post increment operator says if number 1 is greater than 5, then print this, else print this. Now what this post increment operator is saying that check the value in number 1 first, that's 5 now, and then compare it to if it is greater than 5. If it is, display this block of code. If not, display this block of code. So like this, normally this is supposed to be number 1 plus 6. So this is supposed to be equals to 6 greater than 5, which is supposed to give you true this block of code, but then you'll be surprised it will give you this block of code. All right, let's test it. Number one is the loser. And you're wondering what happened. We had already incremented it here 6. 6 is definitely greater than 5. But no, that only happens because the post increment operator will only increment the value of the variable after the condition is being checked. So in order to make this true, what would we use is the pre-increment operator, which is the double plus sign at the back of the variable name. Note that the double plus sign at the back of the variable name. So if I'm to run that again, you'll see our condition will be true now. All right, there you go. There you go. Number one is the winner. Why? Because before the greater than 5 condition is being checked, the value in number one is being incremented. So here what remains is that what we are doing is saying number one, therefore the number one value now will be equals to 6 first, and then it will now check if 6 is what greater than 5, therefore making this block of code, making this condition true, and then this block of code being executed, as you can see the output here. All right, so let me use the commenting to also show you what happens in the post increment operator. So if using the post, what it does now is saying that number one is equals to 5, then check if 5 is greater than 5, which is false, making this block of code implemented. But after this condition is being checked, then number one will be increased to 6. That is why one is being called the post increment operator and another is being called the pre-increment operator. So as I round up, the post and the pre, for the post, you increase the value of the variable after the condition is being checked. But for the pre-increment operator, the value of the variable is being increased before the condition is being checked. So let's see, that works the same way for both the post and the pre-decrement operator. Remember, what this means is that 5 is greater than 5, which will be false, which will give us this. All right, okay, now let's use the less than. Okay, so this is supposed to be, this will be 5 is less than 5, okay, which is false. So this will be executed, this block of code. So for us to run it again, we'll run it. Okay, so you can see number one is the loser, but remember, post increment will increase the value of number one after the condition is being checked. So the condition is 5 less than 5 is false, and then this is being, executed. So if I put the pre-decrement operator right here, okay, and if I do this, you will see that that condition now would be true. Number one is the winner. All right, so I hope you had a lovely time with me explaining the if and else statements, and then making broad your knowledge on the post and the pre-increment operator. And then remember to wake up, don't stay at home all day, don't watch too much television, and I promise you, you're on your way to becoming one of the best Java programmers. All right, thank you. Please keep on watching, subscribe.